On the outside, you look solid, have it together. The job, the title, the wins. But inside, you're constantly analyzing things, shutting down, calling it stoic, snapping at people, or feeling numb. It's like this life that you built that looks great on paper feels anything but. And the truth is, that's not stress. It's not just your personality. That's your brain and your body still running old missions on autopilot. Welcome to the Mind Madam podcast. I'm your host, Elizabeth, and this is where we strip it all down and get tactical. No fluff, no therapy speak, no feel the feels, just real patterns that are running your life and the tools to take back control. Because if you can't lead yourself internally through pressure or conflict or, yes, emotion, what do you think you're leading? We are getting into it right away with meeting Intel, the overanalyzer soldier. I do have to start with the line that made me laugh out loud in the middle of a Starbucks with everyone watching, because it perfectly sums up exactly this job of the soldier. And it is in this statement, which is, if I get it wrong, I'm going to get fucking humiliated again. And it's funny until you realize how true it is. If you've ever lived that sting of being wrong in public, that hot flush that creeps up your face, has you whispering inside, oh no, everyone saw that. This is so embarrassing. Well, in that moment, your nervous system, which consists of your brain and your body, made a promise. That is, we won't ever do that again. We're never going to be embarrassed. And that is the day that Intel was born. Intel's mission is simple. If I just analyze every single angle, I'll never be humiliated again. And who signs up to be humiliated? Not many people that I've met. So he gathers endless information, reads, researches, plans, anything that will help prevent exposure or weakness. And it all started in those no big deal moments that your body never forgets. Maybe you raised your hand in class and got it wrong, and the room erupted in laughter. And your face burned in embarrassment, your chest was tight, and your stomach dropped, and then your eyes just shut down because you're going to look at your desk and not at anyone who could be making fun of you. Or you dropped the ball in Little League and the coach yelled. Teammates rolled their eyes because they were so disappointed you lost the game. Well, there's that lump in your throat that stings, like you want to cry and you just want to swallow yourself up whole. Or you said something at dinner and a parent cut you down and said, what are you even thinking? And next thing you know, your shoulders curl inward just to give you any ounce of protection. Well, that's when your body wrote this survival code. If I mess up, they laugh at me. If I forget, I failed. Better to check 100 times than to be the one who looks stupid. But the thing is, humiliation as a kid isn't just a moment. It is a message, and the message is stored in your body. Your brain encodes it as survival. Avoid mistakes at all costs. And your body registers it too. That red face, the stomach drop, the averted gaze, those are all signs and symptoms working in conjunction with your brain. Anytime a similar trigger that shows up or the same feelings in your body, that same story boots up again. And Intel issues orders. Overanalyze to keep you safe. But like anything in life, there's always a cost. You think Intel is keeping you safe, and so does he. Maybe even call it your personality. But here's what's really happening underneath the surface. It costs you money because you sit on ideas instead of pitching them. It costs you intimacy because you're so in your head instead of being present in the moment. It costs you your peace because your brain never shuts up. That is the day that Intel took the job. So when your chest tightens before you hit send, or your leg bounces under the conference table, that's not logic. That is an old scar that is trying to run your life today. I want you to fast forward 20 years. Same soldier, Intel, but a different battlefield. Intel does not sound like humiliation on the playground anymore. It sounds like this in your head. One mistake and they'll roast me forever. If I don't think it through, I'm going to look like an idiot. I just need a little bit more information before I officially decide. It is the same dialogue, just upgraded adult language. Here's what it looks like in action and what it's actually costing you because, as I say, there's always a cost and a benefit. Here's how it's going to show up in your work or your career. You may rewrite the same email 12 times, and then the deadline passes, and your boss doesn't see you as thorough. He sees you as too slow. Trust gone. And meanwhile, your leg is jackhammering under the desk. Or maybe you have a killer idea, but instead of bringing it to surface, you bite your tongue because it's not perfect yet. You just need a little bit more. Instead, your coworker who has a half-baked idea blurts out his version. He gets the nod, and now he's the capable one. And now your shoulders slump, just like at the dinner table. Maybe you're spending weeks doing cost and benefit analysis just to make the right decision, only to miss the window entirely. That gut drop of shame is what follows. It is always a brain and a body response. In dating or relationships, that person texts, "Hey, had fun last night." You stare, you rewrite, you delete, maybe even run it through ChatGPT to find the perfect response. But by the time you hit send, the spark's gone and they assume you're not interested. Maybe you're on the couch and you calculate the perfect moment to put a move on your partner. But you wait too long because you're calculating. They grab their phone with a heavy sigh, and that hesitation that you just had does not read as thoughtfulness. It reads as rejection to that other person. Intent does not erase impact. Maybe you're in bed and you're mid-sex, but stuck in your head running performance checklists. Like, am I doing this right? Should I switch this up? This is not what they said to do in the book. Should I do it this way? And the second you leave your body, because you do, because you're so in your head, they feel it. The rhythm breaks, the connection dies along with your happy ending. Or maybe you're with your family and your kids run up with a drawing, proud and excited, and you hesitate overthinking if you should praise it or how to critique it to help them improve. That pause that lands as dismissal to them, that's when you start seeing that spark slowly dying. And this is exactly those moments that Intel is born. You are just now the creator of it. You don't know that, but it's what happens. In everyday life, maybe you are someone who is obsessively researching reviews on products or on restaurants, only to end up overwhelmed and hungry because you don't trust yourself to choose. You have got a head full of ideas, but none of them get off the ground because Intel has you stuck in analysis paralysis. And underneath it all, your body is buzzing. It won't shut off along with your brain. And I'm going to take a guess right now that you're saying, well, Elizabeth, I'm not overthinking. I'm just detail oriented. Listen, that is cute, but I'll be real with you. I run Intel too, and I am a chronic researcher filled with curiosity. I love facts. I love learning. I can go down a rabbit hole like it's an Olympic sport and not come out for hours. But there is a gut check that I consistently have to run on myself. And that is, am I studying this because I'm genuinely curious? Or am I jawing because I don't trust myself to act without another fact, another angle, another plan? Have I covered all my bases? Because the truth is, you never feel ready. There's no scoreboard in life that says, ding, 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 now you're safe. The only real question is, can you put it down and act anyway? Or are you waiting for a finish line that doesn't even exist? And here's the next checkpoint for you. When Intel has you stalling, ask yourself, how would I even know that I'm ready? How would I even know I finally have enough information to move on? The truth is, you won't ever know because you will keep moving the goalpost. There's no definitive answer in life that says, yes, you have enough information or no, you don't. That you have to trust in yourself. But Intel will keep dangling that finish line just out of reach. And even if you did collect every fact, every angle, every possible scenario, how exactly is that going to shield you from judgment? Because that's what you're trying to do. The more facts you throw around, the more people have to poke holes, argue, or roll their eyes. Intel promises safety through preparation, but what he really hands you is paralysis and a bigger target. The safety you're chasing does not exist. Here's the change of perspective. Intel isn't all bad. He's not bad when he's balanced. Balanced intel is actually sharp. He's a scout. He scans the terrain, as I like to say, hands you the information, and then steps back so you can make the decision and move forward. That is the upgrade. Think about it. How effective would you be if you were constantly punishing yourself for mistakes you didn't even know you were making? That's like shaming a kid for not being able to read yet. You wouldn't do that to your kid. You wouldn't do that to your teammate because shaming doesn't create growth. It creates rebellion, or it creates people that just shut down. And honestly, if you're shaming your kid like that, then you need this podcast more than ever. But it's the same with you. Intel doesn't need shame. He needs someone to lead him through it, to take control, to show him that he is safe and he doesn't have to act the way he's acting. What would a balanced Intel look like? In work and career, maybe you have one clean edit on an email and hit send. Your boss sees you as decisive and reliable. Or you speak up in a meeting without rehearsing 10 different times. Your ideas actually land because your presence is respected. And because it's not polished to death, that idea is not finalized, it actually sparks better collaboration, giving the teammates or your collaborators room to come in. There is an opening, and that leads to better idea development. In dating or relationships, you reply right away if you're interested or close the loop if you're not. If you're interested, you could say, yeah, I had fun too. When are we hanging out again? They see you as someone taking charge and they feel the momentum. That's someone who has inner security. Or if you're not interested, because let's be real, you're not going to like everyone. That's okay. It's not kindergarten where you have to be besties with everyone. But you could actually own it and say, you're great. I'm just not feeling this like right now or ever. But they get the clarity then. Instead of the silence, they get the closure. It's respectful. You say what's on your mind with intent instead of holding back. Your partner, they feel your respect, and the respect invites them to meet you at the same level of open communication. Or in sex and intimacy, you stay in your body. You're not overanalyzing the moment. You laugh when it's awkward, which inevitably it can happen. Sex turns playful, not performative. You're tuned into their body, not stuck in your head. And here's the part that no one ever says out loud, but relaxed bodies are the ones that climax. And in family, maybe your kid shows you a drawing or your niece and nephew, and immediately you say, that's awesome. Tell me more how you did that. Their face lights up with pride as they start explaining to you their whole process. It gives them confidence. That's how you empower children. Now, let's get brutally honest, as we like to do here. If overthinking, all of that research, all of that analyzing is really keeping you safe and successful, then why do you feel so out of control? Why do you feel like you're failing even when you're working twice as hard? Look back. Did every single scenario that you were obsessed with actually happen? Or was it just wasted energy, clawing for control that never even came? Intel keeps promising certainty, but what does he actually deliver? Tight chest, stomach in knots, leg bouncing under the table, a mind buzzing like a hive that never shuts off. That's not safety. That's not control. That's a 12-year-old survival strategy running a grown man's life. And it does the same to me. I just recently had to take a hard look at myself because I was deep in legal prep, analyzing every single angle just to have some sort of control over the situation. And I don't know if you've ever been in the legal system, but you have absolutely no control. I had to take a hard look and be like, is this helping or hindering me? Because this is exhausting. And now it is taking me away from things that I actually want to go do. And so I had to shut myself down and be like, look, I have trust in myself. I will respond to what comes up instead of trying to prevent everything from happening. And the relief that I felt in my brain and my body was astounding. I now had the focus, the room to be creative again, to not feel like I was constantly tallying up facts and data to get me out of the situation. And the moment that I stopped, the moment that I said, that's it, I'm not doing this anymore, it's not working, that's when things clicked into place. And if you want to know some subtle ways that Intel shows his face, I once had someone on my threads leave a comment that said, well, I guess I just have more healing to do. So, number one, major props to that dude because good for you for doing the inner work. But Intel loves that line. Yes, more healing, more journaling, more prep, more time staying stuck, mistaking it for progress. But here's the reframe for you. You don't need more healing. You need more leading. Intel doesn't need therapy. He needs redirected orders. Yes, process the feelings that came from, process the emotion, extract the lesson, and move on. You don't need to sit in it for years on a couch. Life continues whether you're healed or not. So you might as well be healing in conjunction with your life. Now, the thing about Intel is, he convinces you that hesitation equals control. It's actually the opposite. The longer that you hesitate, the less control you actually have. You are straddling indecision. And indecision is really the only bad decision because when you're sitting there, when you have multiple different things you could choose, it is not the weight of making the wrong decision. It is that you have the weight of the cost and the benefit of each and every decision. And if you just choose one, you can let all of that other stuff go away. And could it be the wrong decision? I don't like to say there's wrong decisions in life because they're just learning moments, but you never know what you will learn from that. And you never know the happy accident that also could come from that. So if you're sitting there and waiting, your deadlines are going to pass, your opportunities are going to slip. That partner, that, quality person is going to move on away from you. Your kid's going to give up and walk away. And your body knows it. That buzzing behind your eyes, the jaw clench you carry into the night and you wake up and you're like, what happened to me? I feel like someone punched me in the face. The wired but exhausted energy you can't shake. I like to think of it like my insides are crawling. That's the best way I could explain to it. So exhausted, but inside, it's like nails on a chalkboard. And that is not safety. That is not fun. That's Intel keeping you stuck in that collection mode. But again, he's not your villain. He's loyal. He is just the kid soldier that lost his way and needs different orders. You wouldn't let a 12-year-old run your company or your life, and yet you're doing it because you don't know. Don't let one run your decisions. So I'm not going to leave you hanging and be like, here's your beautiful soldier. Bye, be on your way. No, there are ways to retrain them. And I'm going to give you some quick tips here. Now, more unfolds when I work one-on-one with people, but this is a podcast. So we're going to just keep it nice and simple. It's the same framework I always use, and I call it my stoplight framework because it's easy to remember. Red, yellow, green. The red, I want you to think like you're going down the road. You're going to catch it. So it always shows up in your body before it registers in your brain. Do you have a tight chest, a shallow breath, a bead of sweat dripping down your back? Your jaw feels like lockjaw. It's just so tight and irritating. You're getting tension headaches. The second you start to feel that, because you're about to hit send or rewrite an email or go down ChatGPT and do another deep dive, that is when you are overreaching instead of deciding. It always shows up in the body. And that is not your sign that you're being thorough. That is your sign that Intel is getting suited up to run your mission. Now, when we get to yellow, we're going to name it because there's power in naming something and naming it that is separate from your body. You are not your feelings. Your feelings are separate. So you call it out. That's just Intel running his old mission. Now it's not you failing, it's your soldier that needs a redirection. And then we're going to go green because you're going to save your own day. You're going to continue on down the road. You have to issue new orders to do it because you can prevent, you can stop, but then what do you replenish with? Because something else is going to take that space. Here's where you issue that upgrade. You need one clean line that makes the old mission impossible to keep running. I know you guys like logical thinking. Something like one of these three. Progress is safer than perfection. One clean pass, and then I hit send. Momentum will beat hesitation every time. And I'll be real with you. I catch myself doing this all of the time. I'll be deep in research mode, tabs open everywhere. Don't ever look at my computer, especially if you're in IT, because you will have a heart attack. But suddenly I stop and ask myself, do I really need all of this? Or am I just trying to prevent a mistake? That is my signal to drop a new order and move on. If you want the really hard gut check, here's what I would ask yourself. If I am so careful, why do I still screw it up? If I prepare this much, why do I still feel behind? If thinking through helps, why am I still stuck? I like to tell people you cannot overthink your way to peace. It will never happen because part of peace is not having that busy brain. Those questions break Intel's illusion of safety, and the new orders give you a way forward. The bottom line is you do not fight Intel. You lead him. You catch the stall, you name it, it's not that big of a deal, and issue new orders. Will it feel comfortable? Absolutely not. I'll never tell you it will feel comfortable those first few times. You'll still feel the nerves, but that's not failure. That's proof you're leaving familiar territory. And in order to grow, you do have to leave familiar territory. So this week, as always, your mission is simple. The moment you catch yourself hovering, spiraling, stalling, shutting down, going to research for the 16th time today on the subject that you know through and through, I want you to think the red, the yellow, the green. That's how you stop a 7th grade scar from ruining your empire and your family life. That's how you take back control. Well, let's bring this home. Once again, a reminder, Intel's not your enemy. He may be the overzealous, misguided scout who thinks he's the general and needs a wake-up call, but he was just born the day that humiliation carved itself into your body, and he's been on patrol ever since. The problem is he guards you, not by keeping you safe, but by keeping you stuck. What does that cost? It's not just the missed emails or stalled projects or awkward silences. The real cost is trust. Trust in yourself, trust in your voice, trust in your ability to move. And fun fact is, if you don't trust yourself, you cannot possibly trust anyone else because you don't know what it feels like. The other issue is when you don't trust yourself, no one else is going to trust you either because they read it. They read your energy. It does not matter what you say. It's your actions, your energy, your tone, and your intent. That's what really establishes you as a leader. Remember, Intel doesn't need to be fired. He just needs to be given directions. Catch him, call him out, give him the new orders. That's how you shift from second guessing to actually commanding, or as I like to say, as feeling like a badass, governing your internal army. This is the work I do with my clients, retraining those old soldiers so their brilliance isn't buried under hesitation. And if you're listening, Intel's not the only soldier. He may be the overanalyzer. We've already discussed in the last 2 episodes about the withholder, the breadcrumb soldier, and recon, the scared to want. There's actually 15 other soldiers. But next week, we're taking a break from soldiers, and we're diving into a favorite of mine, power dynamics, the invisible rules of life that decides who leads, who follows, and why most men get it wrong in the boardroom and the bedroom. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. So thanks for hanging around, and I'll see you on the next one. If this hit home, this is the work that I do one-on-one. If you're ready to spot your own patterns, govern your own internal armies, the link is in the show notes. Don't overthink it. Just reach out. I don't bite. And if this episode gave you something useful, subscribe, share it, or drop a quick review, not for me, but because you never know who's going to hear your words, how something changed for you, and finally realize, damn, that's me. That's how this stuff spreads. That's how more of us stop running on autopilot and actually start leading and enjoying life. And you can have a hand in that. People will remember you for it. All right, I'll see you on the next one.